Welcome, Zach, to the World XP podcast. It's a pleasure to have you on. I know you've started your own podcast called Pursuing Perfect, and I think this is a good joint venture for, if you want to call it that, for us to maybe get some exposure for you, and then obviously for me to inch closer to that 50th episode with Pops that the people have been clamoring for. He's a little shy, but that's all right. We'll get him on. Don't worry.
It's exciting.
It is for sure. We met. Just a little bit of background. We met at a Loudoun United tryout back in March.
Pursuing soccer.
Yeah, I think things did not turn out. I don't know. I thought both of us had actually a good week, I would say.
Yeah, for sure. I think we both performed well.
I think so. We've both moved on. You're at preseason with the Maryland Bobcats, which is another professional NISA team, and I'm currently with the Fredericksburg Fire, which is a professional indoor team. So, both kind of worked out in the end. But how are you, man? It's good to see you.
Yeah, I'm doing good, Eric. Yeah, I'm doing excellent, actually. This morning is kind of warm here in Delaware, so it's been changed up since the last couple of days. It's been freezing, but yeah, things are good. Like you said, we met at a Loudoun tryout, and I think that we didn't get to talk a lot there, so this is giving us a good opportunity to catch up. And like you said, it's kind of cool. We both have our own podcasts, our own things that we're doing, putting ideas out into the world, learning about ourselves, learning about things that we find interest in. And I think this will be a fun conversation for people. And I'll be excited to listen to your 50th episode. That sounds interesting. I guess you're doing it with your dad. Is that what you said?
Yeah, well, he's a little bit of a legend among the occult hero, if you will, amongst my friend group. Some of the stories and stuff that he's done. For instance, he told me a story when he was a teenager. He decided that when his mom bought a new microwave, because that was a new thing back then, he was like, you know what, maybe we should put an egg in a Ziploc bag and see what happens. And he blew the door off the hinges of the microwave. So yeah, he's a bit of a cult hero, we'll say. So that should be a good one. Super smart guy. He's an engineer as well, so it should be a good one.
Now, is that your profession as well? You're an engineer?
I am currently doing program management stuff for the government right now. I did not. He went the whole schooling route of engineering, civil engineering, like buildings and all that stuff. Went geotechnical as well, which is like, what's in the soil? Can we build a foundation on this soil? Because buildings are heavy as hell. So it's like, is the building going to sink? What's the proper like makeup of the soil? All sorts of stuff like that. He did that for a while.
So I guess he had to study geography, topography, everything. It was
all sorts
building,
of stuff. Yeah,
all types of structural support.
Yeah, all sorts of stuff. He was at UVA and then got his master's as well. So yeah, he went to school for it and all sorts of stuff. I did not. School was not my friend.
Where'd you go again?
I went to Mary Washington. It's a D3 school in Fredericksburg, Virginia.
Yeah, I went to Wesley College, which no longer exists.
Really?
It was in Delaware, but it got acquired by Delaware State University. So now it's Delaware State downtown campus, because we used to have there's a Delaware State main campus, and then Wesley is in downtown Dover, and they acquired the Wesley campus because it was being managed terribly, and it was a money drain, and so they bought it, and now they own it, and Wesley College is no more. So all my college statistics from soccer are disappeared. They've been obliterated into the atmosphere. They don't, like, if you go on like wesleysports.com, there's nothing. It says webpage not available. So
wow,
it's interesting.
We were in the same conference. I think we would have been in the same conference. And you know, that's all right, man. My college soccer stats don't exist either, because I didn't play at Mary Washington. So
really?
Yeah, really.
Why?
Let's see. It's not like Kilby's gonna want. Well, so I guess disclaimer. I'm a lot better now than I was then. I skipped a grade, so my freshman year I had just turned 17, and didn't have like. I don't know what it was really. I guess I just hadn't been like unlocked, if that makes sense.
Late bloomer.
Yeah, exactly. So I still had all the technical ability, and that was always my strong suit. But I was recruited as a walk-on, did all right my freshman like preseason. Talked to the coach. He's basically like grow into your body, like physically get a little faster, a little stronger, because the way that this conference works is like physical, etc. I was like, all right, then, like fair enough. Like I'm young, that's fine. He's like, come back in the spring. I played really well in the spring. I thought I was good at that point. Like all the players on the team, like I fit in, was getting playing time in the scrimmages, playing well, performing well. Um, Come next fall for preseason. Did you guys have captains practices?
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Something similar. Yeah.
yeah, so it's like preseason before preseason because NCAA rules or whatever. For those that don't know, but I played really well in those. Played really well in preseason, and then I picked up a dead leg. One of the practices got kneed in the quad. Like for those listening, and for I know you know how that is, but like you can't really like move your leg for like a day. So I missed the afternoon. I missed the afternoon practice. No, I missed I got kneed the afternoon, and then I missed the morning practice the next day. Did lifting and did the afternoon practice, and then the reason that the coach gave me for like, because then we had meetings with the coach like for like roster slots and stuff, and the reason he gave me for cutting me was because of my injury, which I was like, that's very stupid because I was already back practicing. So I don't know.
And for the people listening, a dead leg doesn't last that long. It lasts maybe a day at most.
Yeah,
so it's not like a long-term injury.
Yeah, no, and I was already back as well. So I don't know. It is what it is. I was playing club then at that point, and I credit that with teaching me how to dribble, because up until that point, everything had been two touches all the time, and sometimes
not a bad thing though.
No, definitely not. And so club, one of the things it taught me was how to dribble, and that got me out of tight situations. So then after I graduated, I was playing in different leagues around like basically got lucky, met some people, and then I ended up training with like I trained with like Moses Nyman a couple times, and like O'Neal Fisher and a couple of DC United guys, and then Sandor from the Loudon Trout, who used to play at Loudon, Brandon Williamson, who played at Duke and also at Loudon. He's with Nova FC now. A couple, like I just basically lucked into it, and the dribbling that I had taught myself basically during club, because basically what happened was I got bored. So I was like, I tried to nutmeg as many people at practice as I could possibly, and I started scoring a lot as well. So that kind of unlocked the mental, like, all right, I can play like at a higher level.
Yes, I can do this.
Yeah, exactly. And so, yeah, basically lucked into it, and then ended up like 2 years later in Mexico at a Loudon tryout, like all sorts of random things that if you had asked me 5 years ago if I would have been doing, I would have been like, nah, like no shot, no shot
right,
at all.
especially after that start at college. I'm sure that hit your mind in a different way, where it maybe was like, this, maybe I have to do something else. Maybe I'm not gonna do this. But then you enjoyed it enough where you taught yourself skills. You became lucky, but really you were prepared whenever that came around, to play in those situations with those players, and obviously they were impressed with you.
Yeah, definitely. It was more of like I would have practiced those moves before, but never in a game situation. And so in club, when the stakes are lower, you can start practicing those stuff in game situations, and that's really what you need to get better. Like there's no replacing a game situation. So and the club practices, because it was club, were just scrimmages the entire time. So like everything was games. And there's no replacing that really. So yeah, I don't know. It was one of those things in college. Like I never thought going into college, I was never like, yeah, I'm going to do something with this after. It's like, oh, I'll hope to play in college, and then like that'll be it. It's like I'm not going to go anywhere else. I didn't have any delusion, like I don't even want to call it delusions, but like
bigger goals.
I was like, I'm never going to make this into a career, So like I wasn't focused on like this whole world of like NISA and USL 1 and like MASL. Like I didn't know half of it existed. I wasn't worried about it because like no one tells you that when you're in high school.
That's right. Nobody, well, because most of them don't even know themselves.
Yeah.
Most of the coaches and things that I had in high school, it's funny, you mentioned a late bloomer. I can relate to that 100%. When I was going into my junior year of high school, I was 5 feet tall and I weighed 88 pounds. So you can imagine, I heard all the same things that you did. You're not physical enough, you're not strong enough, and I mean, now I'm 6'1", 175, 180, somewhere around there. And I'm a totally different person, but I've relied on all my technical ability. And I was a lot like you from what it sounds like, 1 and 2 touch, learning how to do those things. But then you develop confidence in other skills. As I kind of matured, I got more comfortable, competing and, running at people and doing things because I realized I could do it. Before I thought, oh, I have to play 1 and 2 touch. I can't compete physically. I can't run past someone. They're just going to catch me because I'm so much smaller. I'm so underdeveloped. So I had to develop the same thing. 1 and 2 touch, play quick, develop the mind first. Whereas a lot of people have the physical gifts right off the bat. They get selected because they're the fastest person or the most, the tallest or the biggest or whatever it is, because that's what coaches see here in America. They see, oh, he's an athlete. He is a physical specimen. We want to bring him to the team. So it's different, in other parts of the country, or in other parts of the world, I'm sorry, we might have, something else might have happened, but either way, we both found our own path. We found, this kind of alternate universe, like that you're not taught about through the American soccer system or any kind of education here.
Yeah, exactly. I think one of the things that happened as well is after I graduated, I was playing in this like Sunday league, and it was like the same as club, basically just kind of messing around, scoring a lot, whatever. And then when I moved up into Northern Virginia, there's a different league called Washington Premier League where there's a lot of like former D1 guys and like former like pro guys, and like the level is a lot higher. And so I'd been playing pickup, and somebody was like, hey, do you want to come play with this team? And I was like, sure. And I was shell shocked because I had not played at that level. And I was like, well, I don't want to be bad. So then I started working at it. And then the speed caught up with me, and I got a lot faster. I got a lot stronger. And then that's when it kind of took off, basically. Because I already had here the mental side and the technical ability, and then the speed and the strength took off with it. And then that's when kind of things, I'll say, turned the corner. And that was
it's
about
so funny.
That was like 3 years ago. Yeah.
Wow. It's all been uphill from there.
It has. It's been good. It's been good.
Yeah. That's cool. So I was actually interested. I have a couple friends that play in that. I don't know. Is there an MISL and an MASL?
I think it's NISL. I think it's National Indoor Soccer League, and then MASL is Major Arena Soccer League. I'm pretty sure is what it is. And I know NISL was around for a little while, and then they weren't paying, so the league folded, and then they came back or something like that. I don't really know how it works. I don't really know much about like the history of the leagues, to be honest. This was another one where I stumbled upon some guy that I was playing Sunday league back like years ago. One of the stipulations of me leaving that team was that I play in this Virginia Beach tournament that they do every year. It's basically just like you go down to Virginia Beach, have fun, play some games. Like
a cash prize type thing?
No, I mean, no, but it's like you just fun, just hang out, whatever. And so one of the guys there was like, yeah, I'm starting this indoor team, like professional indoor team. Do you want a spot? And I was like, you are not telling me the truth right now, because he his persona, he would come to the field with a beanie, sunglasses, and like a big gulp like cup, just look hungover all the time. And that's all I knew, because I never spent any time with him outside of that. But actually, he used to be a professional football kicker for Arena League, I think, or maybe semi-pro, something like that. I think he had spent half a season with kickers, like back like 10 years ago, or 10
Richmond?
or 15 years ago. Yeah. And I was like, all right, whatever, man. Like, send me the info and I'll consider it or whatever. And then as I explored the league, and I was like, oh, he's for real. Like, I was like, sure, I'll do it. Like, why not? It's a expansion league. There's only 10 games, or 10 or 12 games, including playoffs or whatever the number is. I was like, it's 3 months. Our first game was January 15th. Season's over first weekend of April, and that's if we go to the champ, like the all the way. I was like, sure, I'll do it. Like,
Yeah,
why not?
why not?
Yeah.
You have
So
nothing to lose. I mean, it's in Fredericksburg, which it obviously isn't far away from you.
Yeah, it's about an hour. It's not too bad, but my office for work is down there. So when I need to pop into the office, like, I'll just stay down there and then go to practice afterwards or something like that. So it's really not too bad. What was really funny is the first contract he sent me on the back page, when it was like print legibly, he spelled legibly wrong. I was like, bro, like, come on, man. But yeah,
That's so funny.
he's just one of those
Cool.
guys with a dream. You know, he really loves soccer. Like, this is his thing. His parents are helping him, like, pour money into it. I think he's like, I want to say he's like late 20s or early 30s, something like that.
What's his name?
Randy Ryan.
Randy Ryan.
Yeah. And it's going well, and he's doing his best to basically create like a very professional environment. Shameless plugs. If you've not watched the match day vlogs, go do that. They're not great, but it's hard to get video when you're also preparing for the game. So, but
I'll check
but
him
yeah,
out.
like, he's got the locker room will just be rooms that are in these field houses, and he'll have all the chairs set up and all the kits over the chairs, and like he's doing his best, man, and I think everybody appreciates that's in the team. Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, and it's a place to play. You know, it's grassroots. That's what that's what it's about. Like, that's how the game will develop and grow for the next generation of players. You know, maybe sometimes we don't always see the fruit of our labor. Sometimes it's for someone else. Sometimes this is setting the standard or planting a tree for someone else to use in the future. So that's cool. It's how the game grows. I mean, in Europe, it's funny. I was just looking at this the other day. It was like a zip up, an Arsenal zip up, and I was looking at it, and the date on it, it was like 1865. The club was founded, and I'm saying it thinking the MLS, our top division, was made in 1996. How could we ever compete with the infrastructure, or even expect to compete with something that's been around for 130 years longer?
Yeah.
I mean, it's something that we have to just keep in mind whenever we're looking at things like this. Like, you know, they grow over time. We can't compare our league with something that's been around 100 years. It's not fair for us, and it's not fair. You know, it's not a good thing to do.
Yeah, no, exactly. And that's an important, I think, I don't know how many people actually realize that that's the case, that those teams have been around for that long, and those leagues have been around for that long, and like those stadiums, like, obviously have been renovated and rebuilt, but the original stadiums have been around for 50, 60 plus years at least.
Yeah, we have teams that are building stadiums right now, and you know, are coming into the league next year. So it's great. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think the other thing, this is without going, I've gone on this tangent before on the podcast, but without going too much down the rabbit hole, like the promotion relegation thing is something that I think I don't see any downsides to doing that from a holistic standpoint. It's like, obviously, if your team gets relegated, that sucks, but get better.
and obviously, if you're a MLS shareholder, it sucks too, because you don't want necessarily, you know, if you're a businessman, you're looking at it like, our league is safe, we're protected, we can't lose anything. All the teams will come back next year. Whereas promotion relegation, maybe a team does really well, and you know, then you have investors. Yeah, so it could get complicated, I could see, for those guys. But like you said, holistically, there's no losing. It's the best way to find the best talent. It's the best way for the game to progress. It's the best way to do it.
Even from a business perspective, if you have some team that comes up that wasn't supposed to, that creates a lot more buzz than you'd have otherwise. So jersey sales, ticket sales, like, you want to see this new team, whatever, and then if they're if they're competitive, then the business goes up. So even in that sense, it's like,
long term,
don't
it's the best. It's the best business move because it becomes a more competitive environment for all the teams, and people have incentive to, create a better product on the field.
Yeah, and people, if they're in a relegation battle, you'll see fans of teams in Europe, their teams are in relegation battles, and they're going to every game. Whereas, like, if you have a bad team here, people just don't go anymore.
Right. They're like, yeah, I'm not going to go to the Philadelphia Union. They suck.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know
Even if they win
not,
0.
So.
Yeah. Huh?
Do they suck? I have no idea.
I don't know. I just picked a name out of the hat. They might.
All right.
DC United, I don't know how good they are right now. We won't talk about it.
No comment. I don't know. I
no, but soccer is an interesting thing here. It is. It's a young game. I was talking with 2 guys the other day, and I think you'll appreciate this. We were having a discussion about capitalism and the free market system, and I'm a proponent of capitalism. I think it's the best system in the world. Is it perfect? Absolutely not. Does it have its flaws? Absolutely. Can we do it better? Absolutely. But in order to pull people up and help people, provide them with an opportunity, it's the best system. It's a fair competing environment. And they said, well, so you're telling me if I wanted to go start a pharmaceutical company tomorrow, I could go and compete with a Merck or a Pfizer or, some huge pharmaceutical company. And I was like, no, obviously not. Like, this is a crazy conversation if you think that. But my point, and ultimately, this is what I'm getting at. Those companies have been around for hundreds of years, and they started from scratch. It's taken them a long, long, long time to build that. If you expect to go walk in there tomorrow and compete, that's naive on your part. That's not the system that's broken. That's just naive to think that you can compete with someone that's been mastering their craft for 150 years in some cases. This is generationally being built upon a foundation that was set 100 years ago. How do you expect to compete with that? You shouldn't be naive enough to think that you can walk in there and beat them at their own game that they've been doing for 150 years.
Yeah, and especially like all their entrenchments in FBA and whatever else. Like, you're like, even if
backdoor deals.
All sorts. They've had 100 years to learn how to cheat without cheating as well. So
that's mastering the craft, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Learning your game. It's being the best. We look at Premier League players; they're not always necessarily the best athletes or anything, but they're geniuses in their brain. They know how to work a plan. They know how to manipulate a defense. They know how to do these things because they're in the environment. Okay, I see it firsthand. Like you said, whenever you started playing with those players, you saw it firsthand that you were capable of being there in that room. You were capable of being on that field with those guys. And once you're there, then you learn little things. And now you're like, okay, now I'm starting to see this. Now I'm starting to see how this goes together. And I can do this. I used to watch this on TV and be impressed by it. Now I'm doing it myself.
Yeah.
So it's a cool thing to learn.
Yeah, for sure. One thing I have noticed though about the like top flight like MLS guys that are probably going to go to Europe, like the young guys, is those dudes are like, it's different. It's just different in terms of ability. Even like Moses, for instance, he's like 17, so smooth on the ball, just like brain is there, strong, like everything you'd want. And I was just like, oh Jesus, man, like,
and
you're going places. Yeah, it's like you're going places.
Well, and of course there's outliers. There's always going to be outliers. I mean, even the Premier League, I'm talking like broadly, but they're the top 0.0001% of even professional soccer players. I mean, you're professional in England down to the 4th tier, really. I mean, it's something most 5th tier players are getting paid full time. They're making £3,000 a week.
Yeah,
it's a different level over there.
It is for sure. I had one of the guys that I was playing with in this league in Northern Virginia. He played in Sweden for a couple of years, like third division in Sweden or 4th division in Sweden. He was like, even then he would come up against guys that have played in the Europa League and like all this other stuff. And it's like everything is so integrated over there that it's like it's another, like everything we think is like raise it one step and then that's where it is there.
Yeah, and we don't really even know how to progress because a lot of people haven't been there to see it and feel how. Like I lived in Germany for a year. I played there, and you go to these different clubs that are unheard of. You've never heard of them. They have the most weirdest names. They're strange, bizarre, and you go and they have amazing facilities. They have 3 fully grassed, beautiful pitches. They have a turf facility. They have an indoor facility with weight rooms and full locker rooms, cabins, and it's beautiful. It's incredible. And you're like, how have I never heard of this team? Look at this facility. But that's just, like we said, it's integrated there. It's integrated into the culture. The businesses are very supportive of that. And they don't have really any other sport. I mean, maybe they play handball or something in Germany. It's not any major sports like we have. So the businesses are fully supportive of them. The business owner also maybe runs the club, or maybe he sits on the chair, the board or something.
Did you go over there for specifically for soccer?
Yes.
So what was that? So how did you end up doing that? Was that like some sort of study abroad program, or like how did that work?
Yeah, it was crazy. It wasn't a study abroad program, but I was playing down in Florida for a team called Boca Raton FC. And they're, at the time, I believe it was NPSL. And this was 2018 when I played with them. Yeah, 2018. And, it was good. They put me up in an apartment. They provided probably 60-70% of my meals and everything. It was good. And I was training at this field in Coral Springs. And there was this goalkeeper there, and he had all these cameras set up. And I was like, that's weird. That's strange. But we were trained, because this was like 2018, before YouTube was like crazy. And my friend Marco, who was my roommate at the time, he's a goalkeeper. And so we're training together, where him and I'm doing finishing, dribbling stuff and hitting the ball on goal. And, we're training together. And this guy with all the cameras comes up to us and he's like, hey, I see you guys training. And he asks us about ourselves. His name's Alberto Ruiz. He has a long story, but he has his own goalkeeping YouTube channel. It has I don't even know what the stats are on it, but it's a pretty significant channel, but it's strictly goalkeeping. And he ran this academy in Germany, and he said, hey, come to Germany. I could get you trials with teams. And that was literally how we met. We met at a park in Coral Springs, just started talking, and he had these German connections, went over there. I stayed in this house with other players. It was like this academy, they called it. And I would train 5 days a week with that group. And then on the most of those days, I would have double days. So I'd have like a Monday, Tuesday, and then Thursday, Friday, Saturday, training with the team, with a local team in like that city, and play a game at the weekend. So it was a very like intense schedule. We were training usually 2 times a day, getting an hour ride, getting picked up with a van, traveling an hour to training at 6 o'clock, training for 2 hours, getting an hour ride back, taking trains, buses, whatever we did, like all the different ways of transportation. But yeah, it was a great experience. So that's how it came up, though. I met him while I was playing for this team, Boca Raton FC. I met Alberto at Coral Springs soccer field, and it just evolved from there. And it was a great experience. I wouldn't trade it for anything. It taught me so many valuable lessons, just to take with me for the rest of my life, really. How to be independent, live on your own, go to a foreign country by yourself, learn the language, integrate into the culture, all these different things that are invaluable. You really can't put a price on it. I got to experience at 23 years old, 22, 23 years old. So it was great. But yeah, it was quite an experience. I have a lot of stories from that time period.
Yeah. So like you were there for a year, and
it was about 10 months, 9 to 10 months, not a full year, but yeah.
Did you go, you went in the fall and came back in the spring? It was like a full season,
right.
Basically.
Yeah.
So who were you playing with? What is like a pro team, or like how did that work?
It was, so I went with, yeah, it's kind of, over there it's a little bit different than here. Like the clubs are very supportive of you. They're not like, hey, just figure it out. They kind of help you out. So I was there with a 6th-tier team, Landesliga team called Nordhorn, and then I went on trial with a couple other teams, SC Union Nettetal, which is an Oberliga team, and I played with them, and that was a great experience. But yeah, so I trialed with a couple teams, played with a couple teams, and I would stay at either a place that they would provide, or I'd stay at this house. So it just depended on the time period that we were talking about, but I either lived in an apartment or a house with other players as well.
So obviously you're back here now, but how did it go for you? Like, was it a function of, I guess I don't want to say just money, because it's never just money. But like what? So it went, and you're trialing for all these teams. Did anyone, was anyone like, yeah, maybe stay another year? Like, we'd like to see more, or like, how did that work? Or was there a bunch of you that went?
No. So it was me and a friend of mine. I ended up like telling about this, and he came, met me over there, and we spent some time together. But the main issue for me was the passport, because I was there on a traveling visa. I couldn't get a work visa, and I wanted to get a citizenship, because then that opens up a lot more doors for you to stay longer. But the main thing for the clubs that I was at was they didn't have a lot of finances, so they couldn't take care of me, put me in like a really nice apartment by myself or anything like that, just living arrangements. A lot of their players were from the cities that they were in. And they grew up there, they lived there, they have jobs there, whatever. And I wasn't able to get a job, and the club couldn't pay me to stay there. So for me, I just decided that it was, one, my visa was up and I couldn't stay any longer, because you can only stay 6 months at a time. So you can stay 6 months, leave for a month, and then go back, but you have to break it up. So the main thing for me was just, I can't stay any longer than 3 to 6 months anyway. I have to go back to the US, spend a month there. But also the clubs that I was at, and I could have dug deeper. You can find hundreds of clubs, literally. I could have done a lot more work to find other clubs and go to other places to see if I could find a better opportunity for myself. But for me, I just decided, okay, I see how I'm living right now. And I don't have the financial means to just go around Germany and just travel for months on end to going to different clubs, different teams. So I just decided, hey, I'm going to go back to the US. I'll figure something out. I have good experience now. And, I've seen what I'm capable of, like a lot like you were. You see the European game, it's totally, it's different. In a really good way. As a player, you develop tremendously whenever you go over there, and you can immerse yourself in it. Because I believe that immersion is the only way to do something. If you're going to learn it, if you're going to learn a skill, you should immerse yourself in it. You should go in, if you want to speak a language, immerse yourself in it. So it developed me a lot as a soccer player in that time, because I was there, and these guys live and breathe soccer, everything. They structure their entire life around the game. They structure, dinner time, we're gonna put a game on the television, we're gonna watch it, so you just pick up a lot, like slowly, like tactically, like you're watching it constantly. You're talking with people that want to talk about soccer. So it was a great time period. But for me, it was financially, clubs don't usually say like, hey, we're gonna pay for your train ticket and all this without seeing you first. So in order to get there, you have to spend money, and then they will invest in you. But yeah, they weren't able to offer me anything. They weren't like, hey, we're gonna give you an apartment, we're gonna give you $1,000 a month or €1,000 a month or whatever for food. So I just decided I should come back to the US and think about things and restructure my plan.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's when I was talking to a few people recently, and the sentiment was like, why don't people just do that? And it's like, well, because it's not easy to do that. It's like you have to have money, and then you have to have the right connections, because if you can't just go over there and then hope to find something unless you're like either loaded or you know the right people.
Yeah.
And even when you get over there, like the thing that I was explaining, these were people that like aren't in the soccer world. I was like, just because you're good enough doesn't mean they'll take you, because they might have somebody else in your position already, and you have to be better than that person for them to take you. And it's not you can't just be like, you have to be an upgrade for them. And that's something that a lot of people like just in life here, like if you're qualified for the job, you'll get the job. It's like it's not the case. You have to be overqualified from a traditional like resume standpoint. Like you have to be an upgrade. You have to do more for them, because otherwise they just will take some kid out of their academy who's the same as you. I ran into that in Mexico a little bit. We were playing against Necaxa's second team, and like some of their like U23s or whatever. And I played well. And then their coach asked our like coach or manager or whatever. He's like, "Oh, how old is that guy? Like, he looks good." They're like 24. He's like, "Oh, too old." It's like, I have some 16-year-old in my academy that can do basically everything he can do, and he won't take up an international roster slot, and I don't have to pay him. It's like, yeah,
Right.
it's a business.
It is, and you can't be mad at them, right? You have to accept it. You have to say, okay, that's the way it works. I'm not upset with you. Like, and like I said earlier, like we found our own path because of that. You know, it's like, man, that burned a little bit whenever you first heard it. Like, I'm sure in the moment you were probably like, really? Because I heard the same thing from he was actually the U20 coach at a team in Mexico, Querétaro, which is a first division club. His name's Mauricio. But I was at I got invited to go to a soccer visa combine out in California. And I went there, and he came up to me after, because he was there. He was like asking me all about myself, where am I from, what. So at the end of the conversation ended by him saying, "So how old are you?" I was like, 22. And he said, "Oh, I can't bring you to Mexico. If you were 20, I would bring you to Mexico tomorrow. I would have a plane ticket for you to come with me, and you would be in my U20 team tomorrow." I was like, wow, yeah. In the moment, but it kind of validates, your skill set, right? At the same time, it hurts in a way, but at the same time, you're like, okay, that at least I got a little bit of validation.
Yeah, for sure. I didn't even hurt. I was just I was just surprised that they had even asked, because I had gone kind of like this Sandor, who you met, went as well, and it was the trip was for, I don't know. Do you know Rashawn? He played at St. Mary's in Maryland.
Sean.
And anyways, there was like 5 or 6, maybe 7 guys that were like actually looking to do this, and I kind of just went along as like you'll be one of the adults on the trip. We won't make you pay for everything, and then you'll play. It'll be a good experience, whatever. And I just went basically for the fuck of it, because I was like, I've never done anything like this before. When am I ever going to get to do something like this again? So I was like, screw it, I'll go. So it didn't even hurt. It was just surprised. I was like, well, yeah, duh. What did they expect? Like, I'm not like, no. It's like, I'm just here. Yeah. It's fine. No, but it's good. Like, even like
that's cool though. Like,
yeah, it is cool. It was. Cool. I was more flattered by it than hurt, I'd say. But yeah, like their U23s and their U20s. I think there was 2 guys from the second team that played. All of them so good. Like even these like 16 and 17-year-olds, they can all play. But it was good. Yeah. Once I figured out though that they were kids that we were playing against, then I started to throw my body around a little bit, and that made it more fun. But
it changes the game for you a little bit. I think once you realize like, oh, he's 16. I don't know. For me, that always has made me feel more confident in some way. Like, I'm like, okay, you don't really understand the game as much as someone that's more experienced. Like you're good, like you're smooth on the ball, you might have great skills, whatever, but maybe you're not as smart tactically, maybe you're not as tuned into what's going on around you. So That's like the side that I look at it. Once I find out someone's like a younger player, I'm always like, okay, now I know what my strategy is going to be. I'm going to beat you with my mind.
Yeah, for
But
sure.
sometimes they are like amazing, like you were saying, like different. Like George Bello, I got to train with him a bunch, and he just signed for Arminia Bielefeld in the Bundesliga.
Yeah, I saw that. It's a good signing for them.
Yeah, he's a great guy. First off, above everything, he's a great guy. Very down to earth, very humble, but just an amazing athlete, amazing soccer player, left-footed, whips balls in on the left, gets up and down, great player. But yeah, those guys, they are different. But once you learn like the tactical side of the game and how to, because most players, yeah, they're easy to manipulate. You can trick them with movements and different passing angles and stuff. So, but yeah, soccer's cool. Soccer's fun to play.
Before we move on, because it sounds like we're about to do that, I did want to ask you one thing. I saw all your posts all the time with Eddie Johnson. How did you end up meeting him or training with him?
So funny. Eddie's a good friend. We spent a lot of time together. Great mentor to me. He's taught me so much, man. He like, how you said, like, you spend time with some of those players and they opened your mind a little bit. That's like who Eddie was for me. Like, he opened my mind to the world of soccer, to how the business side works, how tactically a lot of things work at the higher levels, because he played in the Premier League, he played in the MLS, was a World Cup player, had amazing experiences. So he's had first class coaching, and he's taken that with him and taught a lot of that to a lot of young players, including myself. And he's doing an amazing thing, by the way. Just another shameless plug. If any kids can get down there, get to his environment, because it's the best thing they'll ever do for their careers and for their game. Because he is doing something amazing down there. He's teaching kids the right way to play. He's teaching them every aspect of the game, all the different dynamics. He's doing such a great job. And I'm so proud of him for what he's doing, and giving back to his kids. But I met Eddie through a DM on Instagram. It was because he's extremely active on Instagram. He's very responsive to, but he gets literally thousands of messages.
For sure.
And like I've been there with him, and he opens up his like DMs, and it's like he's like scrolling. He's like, bro, look at this. Look at all these like blue dots.
Yeah.
And so I think I just got lucky. I sent him a DM. He responded to it. And I think I sent him some big long thing like, hey, my name is Zach, blah, 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 about myself, like about where I've played. And I asked him, like, do you think I could come down and train with you? And I think his response was literally like, let's get this work. Something like that, like something so like straightforward. And I was like, okay, I guess I'll come down. I'm like, what does he mean? Like, does that mean like yes? Does that mean no? Like, do I? And I ended up learning how he operates and how he runs his business. And so I ended up going down to Orlando, and the rest is history, as they say.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think that happens often when you DM somebody like that, because I've done it as well for the podcast. It's like, if you don't ask, it's the same as if they say no, so you might as well ask anyways.
Right.
And then you send them this like long thing because you want to give them as much information as possible, so they don't have to like waste time asking questions. Because if you don't do that, then they've got too much other stuff going on, and they don't have time to like go back and forth with you. But also, you can't make it too long, because then they won't read it, and then they'll just move on anyways.
Yeah, they'll be like, this is spam. I'm not even interested. I don't even want to read it.
And then always the response is just like, let's do it, or like, I'm down. Just like you spend all this time to type something out. It's like
you're like strategizing in the message.
Yeah,
you're like, okay, I want to make sure I add this.
Yeah.
But I don't want to add this part. Okay, let me edit that. Let me make sure my spelling's good.
Yeah, because that part doesn't seem necessary. Like, what do they actually need to know? And then it's like, yeah, I'm down. And you're like, all right, well, sounds good.
Way easier than I thought.
Yeah, but you got to put the information in there, because like by the same, if you don't put anything in there, then they'll just move on because they don't got time for that as well. But yeah, that's hilarious.
Yeah, so cool. yeah, it seems like you and I have a lot in common in wanting to be thorough, wanting to do things, as good as we can, as proper as we can. So,
Yeah.
but it's funny whenever you get someone that's just like very free flowing spirit, they're like, yeah, bro, like that's cool. Like come down. Like,
Mhm.
yeah, I always enjoy those because I'm more like, all right, I'm not super structured in that, but I'm like, all right, what's the plan? Let's
Yeah.
get it done. Let's accomplish it. Not necessarily step by step, but yeah, it's funny
Yeah.
whenever people have they don't have any plan.
Real quick, can you tweak the camera? The sun is starting
Yeah,
to like.
I was just about to say, I think I'll just close this.
Yeah, you're good. There he is. The Apple was a wristwatch. What is that? Oh, that's a
That's
oh,
a
what's it
Whoop.
called? Yeah, I was gonna say swoop, and I was like, no, it's not what it is. Whoop.
Swoop.
Yeah.
The Swoop. There it is.
I
Yeah.
almost got
Whoop.
one, and then I didn't. I got
Man, you should.
I ended up with one of the stat sport trackers instead.
How is that?
It's good. The information
One of my
in
teammates,
this,
Alex, has one.
yeah, it's super good. I got it like on sale. I think it was like half off or whatever. So it was like half off. Otherwise, I wouldn't have got it because like retail they're like $300, but I got it for like 160 or something, and I was like, screw it, like whatever. And then like 5 months later, I got hurt. So I haven't been using it recently. But one of the cool things was like tracks your top speed. It seems pretty accurate, but I hit my top speed after I was hurt, and it was like 33 something kilometers an hour. And the Bundesliga tracks that. And like at the time that I went to like the rankings or whatever, and I was in the top 100 like 6 games into the season in the Bundesliga. It's like 0.01 kilometers an hour behind Serge Gnabry for his top speed.
Wow.
Yeah, but then as the season has gone on, I've slowly dropped in the rankings as people.
And they've probably gone a little. Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah, they're probably getting more and more fit.
Yeah, for sure. But also, I haven't.
But if you were,
I haven't been doing it, so I don't know. I like when I hit that, I was like, I know I can hit like a little bit more. I think probably like mid 33s I can hit, but I don't know. Who knows?
That's cool.
Yeah,
because it tracks your speed.
Mhm.
It tracks your high intensity running, your total distance.
Mhm.
Does it do heart rate also?
You can get a heart rate monitor with it. I haven't bought it.
Okay.
Because by the time like it rolled around to buying it, I had like ramped down my basically I was doing PT exercises for that stationary bike, some super light training just to manage it and then play. And then I would go like manage it the next week. And then after the season, I took like a month and a half off basically of games and training. And then before indoor season came. So like from the beginning of December until our first game in January, I didn't really do much. So
that's cool.
But yeah,
it's cool though. I like those things.
The heat map is really cool as well. That you can track.
Oh yeah, that shows where on the field you're traveling, right? Like the most.
Yeah, it's really cool. For center midfielders, if you're box to box, like I was playing for a lot of the season, it is very unhelpful because the entire field is just like. But yeah, like when you're playing on the wing and stuff, it shows when you've come inside. It also shows the sprints you made. So like on the heat map, if you hit the screen instead of the heat map, it shows arrows. So like I think I don't remember what their metric is for what they count as a sprint or not, but it shows the arrows and the distance for where you sprinted. So that's cool as well. I really like it. It's a lot of good data. It's a lot of good data, but like you got to know how and when to use it. And you kind of learn. The high speed distance running, I think for me was the most difficult to get the hang of because it counts at like a certain speed and a certain distance. It counts it as like this counts as high speed distance running.
Yeah.
I think that obviously, but like to know what you're doing when it counts is more what I meant. Like, because I'll think that I'll be running kind of fast for a distance and then it'll be like, nah, it didn't count. So then you have to learn like where those markers are within your performance. So that was cool.
Yeah. I think that it's important too for management of like things like injuries and even just the load that you're putting on your body to know, okay, I did whatever 30 high intensity sprints in a 90-minute match. I need to, taper down my training a little bit the next couple of days to let my legs, recover properly. And because it puts a lot of strain. Like this Whoop, man, this thing has changed the way I look at my whole you talk about holistically, it's changed the way I look at my life.
Mhm.
From a training perspective, from a recovery perspective, from a nutrition perspective, everything. Because your body reacts so differently to different stimulus and different things going on. So it's very interesting to see, how your body reacts to different meals. And I think the stat sports, though, especially for a professional, is very valuable information to know.
Yeah, definitely. And you can send it over to, like, if you have a good match, like, you can. I don't know if people have started to do this where they send it over with like a highlight tape, like, hey, this is the distance I covered, but I feel like that would be a thing that people would or could do. But I don't know.
Yeah.
I've not needed to send my resume to a coach recently, so I don't, like, since I got it, I've not done it. So I don't know. I don't know if that's a thing that they would find valuable. I should ask somebody that, actually.
That would be. I think that would be cool for a coach to see. Your top speed, your distance covered in a match, even show you just your work ethic, like your work rate. This is how much I tend to work in a game. If you have a data compilation over, say, 10 games, where you could say, this is my average over 10 games of what I normally do in a game. This is and then if you could compare that with other players, that could be very valuable information for decision making, at least.
Yeah, I would think. I don't know. I'll have to ask we have a game tonight, so I'll ask coach before the game, maybe after. It depends on if we win or not.
If you get him in a good mood.
Yeah.
Is the coach and the owner the same guy?
No, different people. Gotcha. Different people. So our coach is this guy named Bert, and he's basically kind of like he like trains people, but he also coaches. Does the name Jackson Hopkins ring a bell for you? Young kid, just came up through DC United Academy, played in their preseason game against Miami, scored, they won 1-0. So he's been at some of our trainings, but Bert trained him and a couple other guys that have been training with us. So yeah, he's the coach, and then he's also got this USL2 team called Commonwealth Cardinals that this spring is going to be their first season. So hopefully I'm going to be involved with that as well. But yeah, so he's the coach, and then Randy's the owner of the indoor team, but Bert's got the USL2 team that's his thing. So, but they're trying to build a good like base down in Fredericksburg, because Fredericksburg, there's potential to kind of have I don't know how familiar you are with Virginia in terms of like the soccer that's there, but outside of Northern Virginia and Richmond, and Virginia Beach, is kind of just like not dead, but like if you're outside of those areas, like the best soccer is in those areas by some distance. But there's a lot of players that are down towards, like, a lot of players so Stafford is close to Fredericksburg. There's a lot of players in that area that will travel up to Northern Virginia or down to Richmond to play.
Because it's better in those areas.
Yeah. And those drives aren't close. So like you're looking at hour plus ish.
Yeah. Everything's so spread out in Virginia. Virginia's a huge state.
Yeah. Well, compared to Delaware, then you go to Texas.
Yeah.
Is huge. But
if you go to the biggest state, I guess it's not as big, but still big.
I didn't say the biggest state on purpose. I didn't say Alaska, dude. Alaska's wild. But yeah, man, so there's a good base of talent that they could use there, and hopefully just grow the game. I don't know. Just it's a cool project. Both teams are in their first season. And it's cool to be a part of it. So can't really complain.
For sure. It is cool. It's something that you'll look back on and hopefully be proud of, that you were part of the starting group, so to speak. You were part of the beginning. Like right now, I'm working on a project here in Delaware, putting in a turf field. It's a funny story, but I acquired this turf. I have a lot. I have a lot of turf, and it's like a couple hundred square yards. And so what the old club that I used to play for, River Soccer Club, we're gonna build a turf pad in front of this wall that they have so the kids can train. It'll be like an all-purpose area where they'll have, you know, rondo boxes, they'll have agility ladders, they'll have, you know, like just a training
spot
quad. Yeah. And so it's like, it's cool, like seeing like all the different things coming together, you know, like we have to get the land cleared, we have to get the materials down, like the different concrete. And so it's cool, like building something from scratch, and then not necessarily doing it for me. I'm not gonna go there and necessarily train a lot with it, but.
Hey guys, thanks for watching part 1 of the episode with Zach. The second half of that episode will be on his channel. The link will be in the description for that, and if you guys enjoyed it, remember to like, subscribe, and comment whatever you thought of the episode. It was a great conversation. He's a great guy. Go check his channel out. Link in the description. Thanks, guys.